Yeah, you ready? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Welcome back to episode 3 of the JourneyCast. Welcome. Just before we jump into it, I read this stat last night. Actually, don't fact check me on this because it might not be true. But apparently, if your podcast makes it past 2 episodes, you're like in the 1% of podcasts.
Whoa.
In other words, like I think like 98 or 99% of podcasts don't make it past 2 episodes. So, round of applause. Let's see how many episodes we make it to. I'm curious, like, if we look back at this in a year or two and we're at like 200 episodes. You never know.
You never know. It's all about, day by day, chipping away at things.
100%. Okay, so I don't want to keep our guest sitting here in silence much longer. So I guess I'll introduce her. She's very bubbly, very charismatic, very energetic, and I love it. It's so infectious. It's like already making me smile. She goes by CC Spicy. She goes by Catherine Chen. She now goes by the Sauce Boss. Welcome to the studio. Good to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're so excited. I feel like you are one of the earliest adopters of the Journey community, kind of like one of our earliest community members, friends. So it was only fitting that you were one of our first guests on the podcast.
Ooh.
For listeners that don't know who you are and kind of like how this relationship works, before we get into who you are, just for people who are listening, I would love for you to explain kind of how you met us, how you met Ale, because I know you guys are super tight, like basically besties at this point.
We're dating.
Yeah, basically.
My husband's jealous.
Yeah, so I'd love for you. I mean, honestly, for me, I don't even know the full story because I feel like I was quite busy at the beginning of when the journey was kind of blossoming at the very beginning. Me and Nerlin, our other partner, were working on some other stuff. So I don't even know the full story of how you met Zach, how you met Ale, how you got involved with the Journey community. So I'd love for you to just dive into that a little bit.
So I think it was back in June, July. I can't remember which month. I was so busy. Lydia was like, oh, I'm coming to the city. I'm going to this event. You should come to join us. I look at him like, oh, it's 2 blocks away from me. I can walk there. I don't have to take the bus or TTC. So I just like, oh, let me show up. The rest is history. Oh,
yeah. You know what? Now it's coming back to me. I remember actually, this is at Good on Adelaide. Yeah, I actually remember you came in. It was probably like an hour into it. Everyone was already mingling. Yeah, you walked in the front door and kind of just stood there. And Zach was talking to someone and I was kind of listening in on that conversation. And I was kind of like looking at Zach and then I was looking at you and then I was looking at Zach. And you were just standing there and I was like, I feel like she's here to speak to Zach, but I'm not too sure if she's just like a good customer. So I kind of just like stood there and I'm like such an awkward person. So I was like, do I say something? And then I was just like, I tapped Zach on the shoulder. I was like, I'm pretty sure this lady is here to talk to you. And you were obviously in silence. So like little did I know at least that you were very outgoing, right? Like I thought you were just a shy little woman.
Yeah, it's kind of like or the typical, I'm going to say this, right? Like when people look at it, just generally speaking, when look at typical Asian women, right? They were like, oh, they are quiet. They don't speak too much. And even like years ago, when I was interviewing someone, so she was sent to us by a recruiter. And the recruiter told her, oh, Catherine, just be quiet. I'm like, yes, quiet my ass.
Yeah, and the rest, I guess, is history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least cool. I mean, I'm so thankful that you've been an early adopter in the Journey community. Yeah, it's like you hold a special place in our hearts, I think. You know, we have like so many members at this point, but yeah, we'll always remember the first members.
Yeah, because Lydia's like, I can't come. I walk in. I'm like, I know no one. I was 1 hour late. I'm like, who should I talk to? Everyone was engaging with some people. I'm like, okay, I'm looking for my target to talk to.
Then she just pulls out her CC sauce.
And Zach, nice meeting.
It's actually quite funny because, yeah, you went from being a nobody, like no one knew who you were, to an hour later, everyone is like freaking out over this sauce.
And then we even made a video, right? You were like eating pizza. Yeah.
I did not know that video was going to go viral.
Yeah, literally. I swear there's like 30 minutes into you being there, Ali's like, this sauce is fucking amazing. Everyone has to try this sauce. And like everyone's gathering around this like General Assembly pizza that came out of the oven. No offense, wasn't that good, but the sauce.
The sauce. You eat the pizza for the sauce.
In that case, yes, definitely.
Okay, so CC, because I feel like we're telling all of our listeners, all of our millions and millions of listeners about your CC sauce, but they don't know what it is. Can you tell us in your own words what CC sauce is?
So I brought the products here so everyone can see it.
And like for people who are only gonna listen to this audio, explain it verbally.
So 2 products are made with olive oil or avocado oils, and no salt, no sugar, no MSG, and no sodium. Only 3 or 4 simple ingredients. They are keto friendly, gluten free, and vegan. And less is more. That's why I have sold over so many jars in less than half a year, because when people read the ingredients, they're like, oh my God, that's it? I'm like, yes, that's it.
So to those listening, CC Spicy is a delicious spicy sauce. I literally put it on everything. I have eggs every single morning. I put CC sauce on everything. This is not a sponsored comment or video. This is legitimate. I talk about CC sauce to my friends and family. It's like really delicious. And for me, like I'm from Mexico, so I grew up eating delicious sauces. And one thing that I realized in North America, a lot of the sauces are made with really bad for you oils and inflammatory oils like canola oil and sunflower seed oil. So I love that you use really the best of the best ingredients. Obviously, that drives your prices up for production.
Some people,
for now, right?
I mean, but here's the thing, right? When you think, oh, maybe when you eventually produce thousands of jars, the price would go down. It would go down just by maybe 1%, not 50 cents, not $1, because the price is going up. Think about avocado oil.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but I mean, your target market, I'm assuming, are not people who are looking for like the cheapest chili oil, right?
No, even just like, I would never, I'm going to say this, some people are going to hate me. I would never put my products at tier 3, even tier 2.
What does that mean?
Retailers.
For me, I know nothing about your industry.
For instance,
like talk to us like you're talking to a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, basically.
So let's say if you go shopping at Whole Foods, right? That's tier 1.
Oof. Love it.
Wait, tier 1 is Whole Foods. Why? Because of the
It's like the
price
ingredients. Range? More like ingredients. It's so natural. It's not like, for instance,
a higher standard.
Much higher standard. Because when you look at my products, when you look at 3 ingredients, avocado oil, peppers, and sesame seeds, you don't see anything weird. Salt, sugar, MSG,
you
even
can pronounce
sodium.
All the ingredients.
Like literally simple. Like you can tell 3 years old to read it. They'll be like, oh, I know how to pronounce them.
That's why I understand it so well.
Perfect, right? So tier 2 or tier 3 is more like Metro or no food, like Walmart. I'm not saying like, because in the food industry, you go either premium, too routes, too extreme, Walmart or Whole Foods. I chose Whole Foods. It's not because I'm so high up here, just because I care about what I eat, what I put in my mouth. I think not everyone does the same as I do, but some people do. So that's why I chose Whole Foods, not Walmart.
Got you. And that's
There's nothing wrong. I shop in a Walmart too.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Based on the ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so like tell us, where did this idea for CC sauce come from?
It's actually funny. It's my family recipe, as you guys know. I love cooking. I've been cooking since I was like 9 years old. My father taught me how to make the family recipe chili oil. So in 2020, during COVID, I brought a jar to a friends gathering. They were like, this shit is so good. You should sell it. I'm like, I don't know where to sell them, right? Because I'm like, number one, it was COVID. Where am I going to knock on the door? Hey, do you want to buy my products? I'm just like, hey, I live in downtown. I look at a city place. There are like literally 35 to 40 condo buildings. They're average 2,000 people per building. I'm like, I can just start in my neighborhood. I just made a post on Facebook neighborhood group. It's free. From there, I posted every month. The first time I posted, people was like, yeah, let me try it. The second time I posted, people who bought my products from the first post made a comment, yeah, her products are really good.
Oh, amazing.
The rest is just like that.
Flywheel.
And it's cost effective. But you know what? It's free. So that's how I started.
You mean free like at the beginning? You basically handed it out for free.
No.
Oh, free advertising. Okay, gotcha.
Because you have to pay to get your products, like branding, everything. Literally just my neighbors, I realized, because during COVID, people did not have a chance to interact like the way we are doing now. So especially in downtown, most of people are singles, right? They were like, oh my God, her product good. I want it too. So I literally walked to every single customer. I gave them a jar. We became friends. And now CC Sauce and me actually well known in City Place, Liberty Village, and St. Lawrence Market, like, because I literally walk there every single time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, your product is great, but you're also, I think personally, like from an outsider perspective, the reason for the success, at least this far, is because of you as well, and because of your, like, I don't know if it's your attitude, but just like your willingness to put yourself out there and your willingness to just like meet everyone. And you're obviously such a bubbly person, like I've said a million times, like you just said, people know you now, right? And I mean, technically your name's on the sauce.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
CC, I put a CC on everything. I'm like, you don't put me on everything, you put on my product.
But I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, there's a reason for that. It's because of your personality. Because a lot of people have really good products and they sell really well, but they're kind of like behind the scenes, you know? Like,
I think you made a good point. I was talking to someone yesterday. She was in Chicago, right? She has really good products, but she took the traditional approach. There's nothing wrong. As you can tell, I'm not traditional. I will never take anything traditional. So at the beginning, she put her products at retails. No one knew her product. No one knew her brand. How can you sell your products? But that's how everything has been done traditionally. So for me, I think I just took a really typical startup approach. I'm just going to look at my neighborhood. That's enough people for me to focus on. And from there, customers like, I'm going to buy 5 jars for my friends and family. I'm like, I don't even have to walk out or travel to deliver jars to people in different provinces or outside Toronto, because they are my CC Sauce ambassadors.
There's something, and you can probably talk a lot about this more than I can. I don't really have experience in this, but I hear that if you get a retailer deal and your product isn't flying off the shelves or even going off the shelves, that you can lose that.
Oh, yes.
So that must have been well thought out then. It sounds like it was well thought out, right? Like, let's build the brand awareness, build the CC Sauce, then go into retailers. Is that kind of how you were thinking about things?
Yeah. So because I used to be at the law firm, so it's like B2B relationships. So I know how cash flow, they don't pay you. Like, it could like take up to 6 months to get paid. I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. Plus, it's a huge organization, the decision makers, right? From here to here to here and all the way down. It could be half a year. I'm like, I have no time to waste. As we talked about before, I care about the time. Time is more important than money to me. So
tell me, okay, so we were going to ask you about your life as a lawyer, your previous life. So what type of, so for those
I had no clue. Yeah. Until like 10 minutes before I did this podcast. She was a lawyer and now she makes sauce. That's crazy. But cool.
Yeah. So I love that. Like, I feel like a lot of people during the pandemic, like kind of woke up and were like, life is short. I might as well do what I love.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about, your previous life as a lawyer. Like, tell us a little bit about that. Maybe what type of law you practice. It sounds like you knew a little bit about the retailer sort of relationship. So maybe tell us a little bit about that previous life experience.
So actually, I was working on international trade in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's crazy.
There. I know. I loved it.
That's pretty cool.
After 3 years, I'm like, I was doing the same thing. As you can tell, I love changes. I cannot do the same thing again. So after 3-4 years, I'm like, it's time for a change. I drove here to Toronto.
Where were you? Sorry.
In Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
So I drove to Toronto from Washington, D.C. without having a job.
Why Toronto? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask that.
Because I'm like,
are you from Toronto?
No,
originally?
I'm not. Yeah. No, I moved here because my uncle lives here, right?
Cece's an onion, and there's so many layers to peel right now. Like every question.
But she doesn't smell like one.
She doesn't smell like one. She smells like garlic because of her garlic in their Cece sauce, but in a good way, only when she opens the jar. No, but like seriously, the more questions we ask Cece, like the more there is to uncover about Cece.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So
continue.
Just like I was a certain age, I was 29. I'm like, I'm approaching 30. What to do next? I wish I was able to speak Spanish. If I was able to speak Spanish, I would have moved to Mexico or Colombia. My uncle lives here, so I know like I could just live with him for like a few months. I drove here without having a job. I'm like, what am I going to do? I got here in July.
Also, law is like different in Canada than US,
everything.
Right? Like, can you just drive here and be a lawyer here? Is that how it works?
I'm just like, I need a change. And everyone's like, you will never get a job in the middle of summer because it's Canada. Everyone's on vacation. I'm like, yeah, if you say so. I just Googled. I reached out to all the law firms on Bay Street. I introduced myself. I'm like, this is what I used to do in Washington, D.C. This is what I can offer to you. Within 2-3 weeks, one lawyer got back to me. He was like, I want to meet you. And after like 3-4 times, they gave me a contract job as a legal consultant, right? So that's how I got a job right after Labor's weekend. Like I literally moved here on July 16th, and not even within 2 months, I got a job.
Never take no for an answer, and you need to experience things for yourself,
Yeah.
But then.
And then I enjoyed what I did at law firm for so long. And then when I was in my mid-30s, I'm like, no, I need something different. I want to do something different because it's kind of like, what's my next chapter? And now I'm ready to do something different. I left my job. Actually, CC Sauce is my third business. I left my job. I started a consulting. I never doing that for 1 year. I'm like, I did that for almost 10 years.
Consulting law.
Consulting like privacy, information governance, and blockchain, right? I'm a nerd.
So is that the type of law that you were in? Like,
information governance and privacy.
Genius.
Okay, wow.
And it's really boring. And it's tedious. So I'm just like, I did my own consulting for 1 year. I'm like, I did this for 10 years. What's the point of me doing this for another like 10 years? So I got into a startup. I was running my last mile delivery package receiving startup. When I was running that, I started CC Sauce. And gradually, CC Sauce was really climbing, going up. My startup was flat. Then I'm like, that's a good indication what I need to do. That's why I'm taking a break from my startup, but I'm not divorcing it. I know it's a problem to solve. So I need to focus on what will give me more challenges, more excitement.
And it'll teach you too a lot about that delivery.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're like learning stuff that you're going to be able to apply. Okay, for those listening also, and for me and for Evan, I don't really know that much about your previous startup. See the onion.
Peel another layer. Let's go.
Can you tell us a little bit about that last mile delivery startup?
Yeah, it's actually in January 2020. My neighbor, she was a lawyer. So I was working on my consulting, right? Business consulting, legal consulting. And she was like, I'm going to get my couch today. They gave me like a huge window from 9 to 2. She's like, I cannot take time off. Like nowadays in the condo buildings, you have to be home to receive the packages, especially the big ones. If you're not, you have to go to the warehouse.
The most annoying thing in the world.
It happens all the time. And I'm like, you're lucky I will be home. So I did help her. And that just got me think. I'm like, shit, actually it happened to myself 2 years ago. I was just like, I got home like, where's my luggage because of traveling, right? My concierge is like, we called you, you did not pick up your phone. Now the package was back in the warehouse. I'm like, where is the warehouse? You have to travel to Mississauga from downtown. So it happened to me before, but I did not realize it's a big problem. So my startup we're trying to solve the last mile delivery and package receiving. Look at the condos you're living in now. There's not enough space and the staff. More and more packages are coming in every day. So that was the problem I have been trying to solve. And I actually got some really big names on board, like the transportation.
You're talking about like delivering it to the lobby of a building?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I walked into my friend's condo a month ago.
everywhere.
I swear there was like 500 packages.
Yes.
You actually couldn't sit on the seats in the condo lobby because of all the packages piling there. And also it's kind of like sketch. Like someone could literally just walk in and scoop up a package.
It happens all the time. That's why I cannot disclose the names. I got 2 of the top 5 to work with me. But as you know, when you work with condo buildings, property managers, they're messengers. They're useless. I'm sorry to say that. It's the condo board. And most of the condo board members...
Sorry for all property managers listening to this podcast.
I agree with that though. Like, my dad's a lawyer, and the condo board in his building hates him because, like, I guess because he's a lawyer and he like raises issues, and like you said, condo boards are usually very kind of stubborn and.
Yeah, like I even reached out to some, like I knew it's a huge problem. And one board member, he's older. I'm not trying to say I don't like older people. And he said, I don't shop online. I'm like, yeah. Now everyone shops online because of COVID, right? So that was the problem I was trying to solve. But I know this problem will be worsening. So I'm not divorcing from that. I can go back to solve the problem.
So I have a quick question. So it sounds like there's 2 issues, big issues, right? In that delivery system to solve. It's like a space issue. I've seen that in my condo. I actually get screamed at by my concierge. Not screamed at, but I have like a massive...
Get your package, yeah.
Dude, I have a big candle wax melter. It's massive. It's like the size of like half of this table that I have not picked up because it's super heavy and I need to bring it to the office. But yeah, I'm getting like not happy emails, right? Because there's a lack of space. Like, so there's a lack of space because so many people are like getting deliveries now. But also the issue that you were saying, if I have a massive delivery, they give me a window from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then I'm home all day long and then it gets delivered at 5 p.m., right? Like always at the tail end of the delivery window.
So that's for you and the residents and there's not a problem. Think about if you are the Canada Post or UPS drivers. You go to the buildings without a concierge. You have to use the barcode. If you were in a meeting or in a washroom, you cannot let the guy in. And the driver had to go back to the warehouse with so many packages. That's money and time.
There's 2 parts to the issue, right?
Yeah.
That's the physical space for all these packages that buildings are receiving. And then there's the issue of customers waiting for their packages basically from X time in the morning till the afternoon. So how do you how are you trying to solve for each one? Because it's a very different solution, right? I'm assuming for each one.
Our solution was, hey, because I was able to help my neighbor because I was home. So we know on a daily basis, there's some people at home. We can average our space to store, to get the packages from the concierge. Then I just notify you, hey, your package is with me. You come to get the package. Of course, that's the concept.
Gotcha.
So in theory, it sounds good because it's not a commercial space. Because think about downtown Toronto, even New York or Chicago, San Francisco. You cannot have commercial space because that's money. So we can leverage the residence space in the condo. So that's the solution. Of course, the solution was never launched because the condo board said no. But everyone else in the ecosystem, including the transportation guys. So think about if the building has no concierge. They go back with so many packages. They have to hand to the people to say, hey, get into the computer system. That's money. That's a lot of money.
And then people just leave their packages like me. Like I was saying, I've left my candle melter there probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And then how about, okay, so both the space then and the time frame of waiting would have been solved with that solution. Very cool. Super interesting.
Yeah, of course, everyone thought it would happen. I even went to the Founder Institute in Silicon Valley, and they recognized this is a big problem to solve. They even recognized what I have been doing, like including getting 2 big names on board to work with me. But of course, condo board said no, and nothing happened. The damn frustration. I know.
But you know what? I feel like this is what's interesting about being an entrepreneur. Like nothing can stop that little fire. If you have a fire inside of you to be an entrepreneur,
100%,
you're going to have multiple little businesses until one big one comes around that you want to focus on, right? Like this isn't your first rodeo. I'm sure. Were there others, Cece, or just that?
For now, maybe. No, just 2. It's enough.
But like throughout your life, do you have this like entrepreneurial fire?
Well, one was even a law firm. Because of the international trade experience, I was working with people in Spain, like in in Africa. We're trying to do some international trade, but kind of like side project. And now, actually, in my entire life, I've been doing that until now. It's like full time, 24/7. Yeah, it's in my blood, I guess.
Oh, it seems like it. Yeah, you're like a serial entrepreneur. It seems like.
I just like challenges.
So, and one thing that you were saying, Evan, earlier, you were saying that Cece's just like super outgoing and just like a hard worker and a hustler and everything. So my background's in marketing. Like I worked in marketing my whole life. I see Cece and I'm like, okay, this woman was a lawyer in a previous life. You know, she, like, I don't know, you didn't actually work in marketing, but you were such a good marketer. Like you really, really are. And a lot of that is just taking risks and trying A/B testing, learning, applying what you've learned. Like, tell us a little bit about, you know, how you're a marketer on a day-to-day basis with CC Sauce.
I did not even know I was good at marketing until everyone's like, oh, who does your marketing? I'm like, me, myself, and I. So I think that's why when I saw like there's some events, I tell you to go, because I think I've been to so many in-person marketing events. By talking to people give me information. Like people's like,
So really quick side note, CC invites me to a bunch of physical events, like marketplaces, where I go and sell my candles now. She'll like text me. She's like, get off your ass. There's this event. You need to be there with me.
Hustler.
So thank you, CC, for making me hustle as hard as you hustle.
Because I feel like we know what we are selling, but by talking to people, they gave us the information, right? Just like so many people actually bought my products without trying, because they were like, just reading information. Oh, no salt, no sugar, no, there's keto friendly. So I know that's my keyword to sell my products. And I also know some people's like, oh, I don't have, especially like when you are getting older, you have so many obligations, you know, your kids, your work. You're like, I don't even have enough time to work out, but they want to pay attention to what they eat. And like, oh, that's the age group or demographics I can target, because you have to pay attention to what you put in the mouth, because in your 20s, you can have burgers and fries and 2:30 in the morning, no problem. Nowadays, when you reach your 30s, 40s, you cannot do that anymore.
So true. No, but it's true. So I started going to these events with Cece because she invited me. And I always thought, okay, my brand's going to be D2C because D2C is so sexy. You know what I mean? I like, you know, toyed with the idea of going to these markets because just toyed with the idea. But now I really see it like a huge business opportunity thanks to you. First, I learned so much about my product. I got so much feedback that I've been able to reintegrate into the product on our website because of being physically in person.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think what you're doing is amazing, and getting that feedback and applying it to your product. You've done an incredible job.
Thank you.
And like, not to shamelessly plug the Journey community, but I have to, in the sense that like what you just said about the fact that you two met, and after that moment of meeting, like, you're not business partners by any means, but you're such huge supporters of each other, and you're basically working together, feeding each other information, advice, support, whatever it may be. And like, not to shamelessly plug the Journey, but that is at a core what the Journey community is all about, right? Just creating a community that feels like a giant family of founders that are figuring it out, may not have figured it out, may have figured it out, and are just there to kind of support people who haven't. But yeah, it's just cool. It's cool every time, like, to me, I hear of two people who are in the community that met and, like I said, may not be business partners now, but are just like going on their journeys, their parallel journeys together, which are so different, but so alike in so many ways. And yeah, it's just really cool.
I think it's our personality too, because I think it's human nature tend to be competitive. Just like, I'm better than you. That's normal. But we all have our egos. I have my egos. You have egos. I don't have an ego.
Just kidding.
But I think it's just like, you don't consider each other as competitors. It's like, no, it's not because you are better, I'm better than you. Because I notice that so many people do that. That's why they were like, collaborate. They just talk about it. They don't put the words into action, because they think they're the best. I'm like, no, you're not the best. You can learn something even from the janitors. So I think, so I think because our personality, like, yeah, we are competitive. You have to be competitive and driven to do what we do, but we're not competing. I think that's key thing here.
Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, the way that Cece and I met, so it was actually at our first Journey event at Good, the one that you guys were talking about, when you walked in and you didn't know anybody. And I met you when you were giving everybody your testers of your sauce. And my mind was just blown. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever tried. Like, it was better than the pizza. I was eating the pizza just so I can have some of the sauce. It's great. But yeah, I've learned so much from you, Cece. It's because Cece's a little bit more ahead of me in her journey. Like, you've been doing this for a while. I just launched my brand a couple of weeks ago, I would say, or days ago, actually. So I've learned a lot from Cece. You've opened up a lot of opportunities and doors for me. But I agree with you. I think there's things that I can, offer you too, like this market or the Amazon connection, little things that I can do. And I'm sure I'll be able to do more for you as well in the future. But I think it's been very key for me at the beginning of my journey to know people like you, Cece, and get that guidance from you and get, being able to text you and ask you questions like, hey, like, should I get insurance? Hey, Cece, do you know a patent lawyer? And just, instantly get a reply. And it's, it can be so lonely to be on this journey. I'm literally by myself. I mean, I have my mom and I call her, but there's certain things that my mom can't help me with.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to know that I have a friend in Toronto who has a CPG brand, albeit it's food and I'm not food. But there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that you can teach me and that I can teach you. Yeah. And I'm very grateful to have met you through the journey and to have you in my journey now.
We're basically Match.com for
I know
it's true
for entrepreneurs.
It's so true.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask, like, before the journey rolled around, before you met Ale, is there anyone in your life right now that's, or honestly, maybe they're not in your kind of social network or in your life anymore, but is there anyone that you met in the past that made an impact on you in terms of like your entrepreneurial journey?
Yes, I think it was in Washington, D.C., as you guys know, in Washington, D.C., so many politicians, so many ambassadors, like literally everyone from the top political, like from every country. And one of my mentors / friend, he's much older, in his 70s. He used to be the U.S. ambassador. Since I met him when I was in my 20s, he kept pushing me, have your business, have your own business. I never understood why he said that. Until now, I'm like, yeah, because he's older. He has seen so many people experience. He's like, he saw that in me since I was in my 20s. I'm like, now he's proud of me.
Yay.
And he's like my dad. So he's like, you need to do more. Have your own business. I'm like, what kind of business? He's like, just have your business. I'm like, it's easy to say, but not easy to do. Yeah.
What's amazing. It's so important to have those mentors in our lives. And I do see you like a mentor, right? Also a friend, but a mentor because you're a little bit ahead in your journey and I get to learn a lot from you. But having those people that just help you believe in yourself is so fucking key.
And it's also, so I have to say, when I was much younger, I never wanted to ask people for help. I feel like I would just figure it out myself because I'm an only child. I grew up very independent. I'm like, I'm not going to ask people for help. But now on this journey, I realize, shit, I'm going to ask.
You have to.
Yeah. So I think for me, think about I was making this product at home. I skipped everything between the commercial kitchen, ghost kitchens. I went to a manufacturing site, 7 hours straight, because someone told me, if you want to stay in the business, you have to go to a manufacturing site. Because typically in business, you work 7 hours. Those numbers are real. When you work in a commercial kitchen, those numbers are not real.
What do you mean?
So think about you just go to a commercial kitchen for 3-4 hours. You get, this is cost of material, cost of production. This is how much I'm going to charge. Those numbers cannot be as realistic as when you work in a factory for 7 hours, because I want to scale up the business in 3 years, maybe have my own factory. So now I work 7 hours for each production. Those numbers can kind of reflect what I want to do when I have my own factory 2 or 3 years from now. But when you work in a commercial kitchen, the numbers are not as real.
Okay, got you. So you're basically figuring out a way to work now so that you can scale your business in the future.
Yeah.
So you skipped like maybe traditional steps that like a bootstrap startup would have made, like making stuff in your own, not your own kitchen, because you have to have like some sort of, maybe talk to us a little bit about like the food industry, because I'm, again, CPG, but nothing to do with food, nothing to do with things that go bad. So the monster that you're dealing with having a product that has a shelf life and is food is a different monster. Like, tell us a little bit about those challenges, I guess, making your own food product, what are the rules? I guess you can't just make it in your kitchen, right? And sell that. So tell us a little bit about that, because I don't know really much about this. It's so interesting, and I'm sure people listening would love to know.
Of course, people cannot see the label. You would think, look at label, it's so simple, right? Actually, it's not that easy. Look at the front panel. Look at the smallest text. Maybe it's D. There's a requirement. Has to be in certain height and width.
What, the letter?
Yeah.
Which one? The description of the product?
The smallest on this panel, the product name.
Yeah.
And this barcode actually is not scannable because it's too small.
Is that okay?
No, but for the bigger ones, like now.
But CC doesn't give a fuck. Just kidding.
But some people I do. Because one store actually complained. They're like, the cashier, they're older. They were like, we can't even read the numbers. How can we punch the numbers? So I had to reprint just one panel, the barcode. I went to the store, I put on this panel. So there's so many requirements just for the
label, the packaging.
Yeah.
But tell us about this concept of the commercial kitchen, because I know that and the concept of a ghost kitchen. Like, I'm sure a lot of listeners here don't know what a ghost kitchen is, but I'll just simplify it really quick. Imagine WeWork, but for people working in the food industry. Like, you have your product, you want to produce it and be able to sell it. Ghost kitchens have all the licenses and the commercial grade kitchens for you to go there, rent a space for a day or however long you need, be able to produce your product there, and then you basically are able to bypass without having to invest in your own center.
Yeah,
you get the space where you're able to manufacture your food and sell it. So that's a ghost kitchen. So you're saying you skip that step completely and went to a manufacturer.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a ghost kitchen and a manufacturer?
Because when you look at ghost kitchen, people just go there. But let's say I'm just by myself. I go to the commercial kitchen or a ghost kitchen. I just work 3-4 hours. I produce, let's say, 100 jars. That's what people traditionally have been doing, would tend to do, because that's easier. Just like, I have an order, I'm going to make 100 jars. But those numbers are not really real, because when you go to manufacturing side, you produce 400 jars. Number one, that's a huge investment. Think about cost of material. Think about cost of production. Well, you need to hire people. And when you go to the manufacturing factory, you have electricity and water, clean up everything. So 3 hours versus 7 hours. 7 hours is what people work from 9 to 5, take 1 hour off. So 7 hours gives me a real picture of what I'm going to do, what I can do. If I'm going to in this business for real or just for fun. So that's why two people actually, they push me. They are really nice because they went through that themselves. They were like, I'm going to teach you. They're actually from Nana Shake. So I'm going to let you guys know afterwards what Nana Shake is. They produced there. They told me, you need to go to the factory. Skip everything between. Then you can determine if you really want to continue this business.
You have a viable business.
Yeah. Because that's where the numbers.
You're not going to be making yourself the product the rest of your life. So you need to figure out what it actually costs to make in a way that's scalable to see if this is even a viable business.
Yeah, just like because I got physically injured, so I had to hire the third person for the production process. Initially, think about it, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's money. Because in our business, every dollar counts. But actually, by hiring the third person, we increased the volume from 400 to 500 plus. Then I did my math. I'm like, I'm happy. It means eventually I can fire myself. See?
Yay. That's the dream.
To be fired.
But I fire myself from cooking, right? Because now I still have to cook. But initially, can you imagine? I'm like, oh, fuck, I have to hire one or two additional people. That's literally money. Yeah. I was like, oh, shit. But after Friday, I'm like, I'm okay. I'm happy. So I'm happy I took the risk. I just suck it up. I'm like, you know what? Fuck, just suck it up.
No, but I think you're right. I think figuring out what the actual cost of doing your business in a way that's going to be sustainable long term is super smart. Because a lot of people, don't start off that way because it's a means issue also, right? Like it probably costs more. It's,
it's a lot
of other challenges. Yeah. So obviously very lucky and hard worker that you were able to do that. But it's smart because you're going to figure out, hey, does this work? Can I grow this?
Just especially after Friday, I can share with you. I was so happy when I realized how many jars we made on my way home, driving home. Like I called my friends. I'm like, I could eventually fire myself from cooking. That means I can focus on marketing, sales, everything. Oh, I was so happy.
It's funny, like you're just like, you basically just said, I can't wait to fire myself from cooking so I can focus on marketing and this and that. How many hats do you wear?
Everything except bookkeeping. I'm not good at bookkeeping.
To me that's like part of being an entrepreneur. It's a very fun part, but also a very challenging part is like, we're not just marketers. We're not just CEOs or whatever. We're everything, especially at the early stages of whatever we're doing. We have to like wear a million hats and do a million different kind of like jobs each day. And sometimes it's a lot. It's sometimes I kind of stop myself, and especially like in our business, like running a marketing agency, but we're such a small marketing agency that we're not just doing like creative direction or account management. We're doing project management. We're doing accounting. We're doing outreach.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's sometimes so tough, but very rewarding. But I feel like that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially early on entrepreneurs, can relate to, the fact that we wear a million hats at once.
But I think I always use raising a kid. I don't have kids. This is my baby, everyone.
Hold on. So the first time Cece ever told me that she was a single mom, I went home and told my husband, I can't believe, like, Cece's amazing. She has this brand, she's crushing it, and she's a single mom. Can you believe that? And then I asked Cece, I'm like, oh, so what's your kid's name? Like in another meeting, she's like, what kid? This is my kid. And she like shows her freaking Cece sauce. I'm like, Cece, you can't be telling people you're a single mom without context.
That's pretty funny. That is
no,
funny.
I just feel like, just like when you look at how many kids, right? Like if people, just like when people decide to have kids, they hire nannies to raise their kids. And if I decide to have my kids, I would never do that because those are my kids. I know how I want my kids to grow up into, the value I teach them. Just like I need to know everything about my product before I can fire myself from so many things and hire other people to do that. Just like now I know I could eventually fire myself from cooking. But I did not fire myself at the beginning. I need to do so many things to finally conclude, yes, it's time to fire myself.
It's actually a really, really good point. Being able to know exactly what you need to do for things for all the pieces to be moving properly, even if you're not the one manufacturing in the future, but like knowing exactly how you make your product and how to make it, like you're going to have better relationships with your manufacturers, with the people that you hire whenever you open up a factory, if that's what you want to have. Not to talk about me and my brand, but like I know how to make candles. And that has been that's been such a huge thing that I have on my side when I'm speaking to my customers, when I'm speaking to possible manufacturers. I think it's a very important thing to know is how to manufacture your own product, even if that's not going to be like your long-term growth plan.
But I just like, there's so many variables. I'm not sure if I told you guys. I think it was back in July, I was making the garlic one. I even fucked it up. 9 pounds of garlic were destroyed. For those who love cooking, you know garlic has so much water. So if the temperature was not right, the garlic, because it's supposed to be crispy, right?
It's delicious. You have to try this. I'm so excited for you, Evan. Evan's never tried the...
No, I have.
Oh, you have tried the sea sauce?
Yeah. Wild. Like
I
don't know.
Oh, but you've never owned it, like had it in your place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
So during that production, 9 pounds of garlic were destroyed because we're supposed to make crispy garlic, but garlic became that chewy, weird texture. Even for me, I've been cooking this for so long, right? I fuck it up.
No, but also question.
Yeah.
So how does it stay crispy?
Because it's in olive oil. That's why. There's no water. That's why. That's why no refrigeration after opening, because there's no water or soy.
Okay, and question, like I've seen your pictures where you have like your production. How do you chop so many garlics in such small, thin slices?
We have
like,
a machine.
How can that be?
1 minute, 3 pounds it down. I used to like manually slice garlic at home.
Oh my God.
That's why my fingers signalize. They're fucked because they're so fresh. I was like, because you have to know the thickness of the garlic. It's not easy. Now, that's why I'm happy because I use the machine. Literally, I put 3 pounds of garlic in 1 minute.
And then you put them on these pans to dry, right?
That's the process I cannot share.
Don't share.
I didn't know there's a secret component to this.
Yeah, because
I guess that makes sense.
Then you'll have to kill us.
Yeah, by law, I have to disclose the ingredients, but the process, that's a trade secret.
Oh, we're talking to Cece. Cece's connecting me to a trade secret, trademark, and patent lawyer. So can't forget that Cece's a lawyer, guys. Careful, Evan. She'll have to kill you.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just stop talking now. I mean, and actually, this is a question for both of you. You're going to be doing this your whole life? Like, do you think you'd ever go back to the non-entrepreneurial life? Or you think you're just like, you're hooked? And does that scare you? Because a part of me, I'll tell you why, and I have not been doing this for very long. So I can only imagine when I'm as deep into it as you or Ale. The longer I do this, the more I just like feel like it kind of worries me because like, what if for some reason I have to go back to the non-entrepreneurial life in like X amount of years, but like, because I've been an entrepreneur for so long at that point, I'm kind of set in my own ways. I don't know how to explain it. Do you understand that?
Yeah, that's fair.
I know, because
does that ever scare you?
Actually, it does not scare me.
I mean, you don't seem like someone who gets scared at anything, so that's a stupid question to ask.
Literally has no fear.
Yeah, literally.
Because this is what I'm thinking, right? If nothing, my parents are super supportive. Like, do what you need to do, pursue your dreams. Not all of my family members think so. They think otherwise. They were like, if nothing happens, you learn something. I'm like, I just fucking started this journey. You're telling me if nothing happens, I'm keeping the distance. Sorry, my family here. I just don't care anymore. Because sometimes you have to keep the distance. You have to, just like I'm talking to you guys because I know you guys support what I do. For people who don't support me, why am I wasting my time and emotions? You can be my friends. You could be my family members. But you just take a break.
Yeah, there's some people that aren't going to be the most supportive. And I guess to circle that back to what you're asking about the workforce, I think if I ever go back to the workforce, which, by the way, huge secret reveal here, like I would love to work for Shopify at some point in my life. Like that's like a dream job because I believe in the platform. I believe in their values. They support entrepreneurship. So say you, for example, your shop is built on Shopify, mine is, they encourage that. So I think that if I were to go back, I don't think there's anything wrong with going back. I actually have a friend, Michael, who, well, I wouldn't call him my friend, but a person that I know who launched his coffee company. He got acquired, he sold it, and now he's working at another company, like a tech company, at like a high role for sales. And it's a great company, but I guess he was able to be selective of where he wanted to work too. Yeah, exactly. I would love to be in a position where I can be selective where I can work. And a dream company for me would be Shopify because of, I think it complements what I'm doing now. I'm really passionate. I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship. I'd be helping others become an entrepreneur. I'd be able to share my experience with the platform, with customers. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think actually, depending on where you go, it could be a really great benefit to you and to the company. There's a lot to add, right? But I think it's important at this stage to be like, okay, I want to work somewhere where I really believe in the company and the values align with my own.
I think if I ever have to, I would just go into politics. Because I just love politics. I know it's super dirty. Like when I was a kid, when I was really young, my dad was like, don't ever go into business or politics. They're both dirty. But I'm like, oh, I like both.
Yeah.
Little
politics.
rebel.
Yeah, but I think politics is something I could eventually consider.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cece.
Good, yeah.
No, finish. I didn't want to
go
interrupt
back.
you.
Yeah.
No, just what's the, like, how do you see, like, talking about like having another job, for example, like, what's been the hardest process for you? Was it like starting the company and like getting it out there, or is it like now running it? For me, my experience, like so far, I mean, I've been a week since I launched e-commerce, but I was in markets physically selling and everything. So like, it's not like it was our first sales like this last week. For me, it was really the idea generation and believing in myself and getting the product to like a place now that I can put it out in the universe. So far, I feel like that's been the hardest part. And I feel like maybe I'm wrong. And to be clear, I'm not producing my product. So that's a very different monster that you have that I'm like, no. But I feel like at this point, I'm like, I could have a full-time job and have this still my company and still run it and dedicate enough time to it while having a full-time job. Do you think that's something, like, do you see yourself doing this and something else in the future?
I don't think so, just because the only reason I was able to sell over 2,200 jars in 6 months because I went to so many events, sometimes like 3, 4, like literally 8 to 10 hours per each event.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I had a job, when I got home, yeah, you work from like 6 to 12, but that's not enough time. Yeah, like I want to grow this into a global empire because you know what? Someone in Belgium just messaged me today. He was like, I just tried your products. Fantastic.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And he's like, give me the banking information. I'm going to transfer money. So to me, my products have been recognized by so many people, not just like one cultural groups, but literally every single cultural groups in so many countries, including Africa, Brazil, Peru, and Europe. Like to me, I'm like, I have to put myself, like I have to go in 300%.
Totally. Being an entrepreneur is also really hard. Let's be realistic. Yeah. Like the idea of paying yourself a salary for me is a long ways away. So that's why I'm considering, okay, it'd be nice to have another job that complements the job that I'm doing now and to be able to have a salary in the meantime. And maybe it's a job that I love and I'm able to stay with. That's why I love Shopify, right? Because I have my salary, I can reinvest it into my business and it's something that's going to be like supporting each other. Like the Shopify job, my business. So that's why I was, wondering with you, like, do you see that at all? But it sounds like your job is very physically demanding because you're at these markets and everything.
And also like, I just know I need to build relationships with my retailers. So I'm working on actually 2 exciting projects. I cannot disclose anything on the record. I will tell you guys off the record. So they are very non-traditional. When I talk to people, what I'm going to do next, people's like, wow, it's very me. Because think about everyone sells their consumer food product at retailers. The 2 exciting projects I'm working on now have nothing to do with retailers.
Is it the metaverse?
No, it's it's just
NFT?
like no, it's just very non-traditional. Like people in the space would never think that's what they need to do. Just because me being me, I talk to people just support me. Like those 2, the projects I'm working on now, actually quite exciting. I will share with you guys off the record.
And that was going to be like the question we wrap up on, but you just answered that. So I guess what's next for CC Spicy is a CC secret.
Oh my God.
That was so cheesy. Sorry.
Wow. That has to go on the podcast.
I guess then in that case, let's end on this question, what advice, because I'm sure hopefully a lot of entrepreneurs and founders are listening to this. So if you can give the listeners some advice on kind of like, how would you put it, Ali? Like just
like aspiring entrepreneurs and what advice you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs. And another one is, what advice would you give to people wanting to make really big career shifts? Like you went from being a lawyer to an entrepreneur. I think that's amazing.
And just don't be scared. I know it's my nature. I'm a risk taker. I don't care about what people another thing is like, you don't need a fucking co-founder. Some people's like, you need at least like another founder. Like, yeah, that's what I thought initially. But you know what? Look at me. Look at you. We don't have our co-founders, but you have people who support you. But that's the first time founder is like, I need a co-founder. No, you don't. You work your fucking ass off. Just ask for help. That's what I've been doing. I'm like, where should I manufacture my products? I did ask people. And I'm like, how about the label? I ask my lawyer friends. Like, there's so many people we can ask. You don't need a co-founder.
You need a journey.
You need a journey. Yes. And good people.
I'm going to let Evan close this off, but I just want to thank Cece so much for being with us today. Cece, you're amazing. You're so inspirational. Watch out for the Cece and Everly collaboration coming this holiday season
candle?
to you. A spicy scented candle that you can use to refill your Cece jar once you finish your Cece jar.
Nice.
And it's time to spice up your life.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. This episode is great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're listening, don't forget to, and I have to get better at this, so I may fuck this up. Don't forget to like, subscribe. What else is there to do? Comment.
And apply to the journey if you're a founder.
Yeah, you can catch us on our website at takethejourney.co for more information. You can apply there. It's free. Probably be free indefinitely at this point. So if you're a founder, entrepreneur, especially in Toronto, there is almost zero downside to joining, and you can meet awesome people in the journey like Ale and CC Spicy.
And also,